you yourself have been a victim of knife crime. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to you and why you got involved in a project like this?
Sure. So last year I was out on a night out for New Year's Eve. On my way home, I stopped off to use a cash point. I got out of the taxi I was in, used the cash point, and whilst I was there, I heard an argument going on behind me. There was a girl who was screaming and running up the road, and a man was chasing her. He had pulled her by the hair and punched her in the face. They ran towards me, I stepped between them, and when I did so, the man pulled out a knife and held it by his right hip and started advancing towards me and began stabbing me. I wrestled with him, I tried to grab his arm, he carried on stabbing and hacked away at my body. I was stabbed 12 times in total, after which I clambered back into the taxi, got the taxi to hospital, and then collapsed on the hospital floor, where I was rushed in for emergency surgery.
And I mean, so many things are shocking about your story. You know, there you are, you're just getting money out of a cash point. You end up with horrific injuries. And I should warn viewers probably, because you warned me that they are quite graphic, the pictures we've got of your injuries. You were lucky in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very lucky to walk away with my life. I suffered a lacerated spleen, severed stomach, a punctured lung, and a lot of knock-on effects since then. And you know, any one of those stab wounds could have taken my life, so I'm extremely lucky to still have it.
Anthony, if we can stop attacks like that, I mean, that's why these campaigns are sort of up and running and why they're so important. But do you think that this particular campaign, is it targeting the right people?
No, I don't. I think it's quite general, and the sorts of young people or adults who are going to be engaging in these knife attacks have disengaged from school and tend to be in PRUs, pupil referral units. So we know where it's happening, the type of urban areas, the types of young people. Many of them already known to the police on the radar. So I think we need more targeted intervention. This is just quite a blanket approach, which is going to engage those young people as a learning tool, which will be useful. But in terms of the type of interventions targeted young people, I'm not sure it's enough, really.
The government says this is just one of 60 commitments contained in our new serious violence strategy, which puts a stronger focus on steering young people away from violence while continuing to ensure the strongest possible law enforcement response. I mean, from that, you know, it sounds like they are trying to invest in this, but you just think perhaps different targets would be better.
Well, from my perspective, look, there's been about £1 billion worth of cuts to support service to young people over the past eight years. So £40 million, when you put it in that context, it's, you know, you've got a deficit of £900 million. So this 40 million really is not going to go anywhere near to get to the position where you were 10 years ago. So, you know, it's just not enough.
And what about for you, Will? Because I know you have your own campaign which you're involved in, don't you?
Yeah, the campaign's called Drop the Knife. We released that in the local community, and we are going into schools in September to talk about, well, a victim's perspective of knife crime. And I think that's not readily reported all too often. I think you can see a lot of statistics on the news and you can distance yourself from that, whereas actually understanding about the implications of using a knife on someone and the effect on their lives going forward is something that isn't hugely reported. So that's where we're focusing our campaign. We're talking about stories that happened and also just how deadly it is to be carrying a knife and how to escape with that.
And we should say that man who attacked you, he was caught and was tried and is now in jail, is that right?
He is, yeah. He got put in prison for 9 years.
And just tell us, because obviously we can, you know, I think you're still breathless because of it in some ways, or what happened to your lungs. And then what about, you know, just going up to a cash point, for example, does it affect you mentally as well?
I mean, I kind of endured quite a lot through my recovery. Thankfully, I'm through that now. You know, everything that comes with trauma, there are a lot of mental health implications. You've got, you know, post-traumatic stress, flashbacks, anxiety, paranoia. I went through all of these, you know. And it was difficult to leave the house. It was hard for me to get up and get back to my daily routine. There were things that I couldn't do. I was constantly reminded of that night. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in terms of what I've got now, I've got, you know, severe lung function impairment. So I've got a paralysed diaphragm on my left side and other issues. So yeah, it's a lifelong thing.
Will's obviously doing a great thing in going into schools and talking to people about his sort of first-hand experience, Anthony. But the role of youth workers, is that a crucial part of this as well, sort of outside school?
Yeah, youth work in partnership with health promotion workers, other welfare services, and the police as a multi-pronged approach to looking at these issues. Because carrying a knife is just one of the many risks that these sorts of young people are engaged in, whether it's unsafe sex, violence, disengagement from school education, employment. So we need to a wraparound intervention really to address all of those issues.
OK, Dr Anthony Gunter, thank you. And Will Flint, thank you very much indeed for coming to talk to us.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you're doing so well. Right, thanks for going on. It's 10 to 9. We're speaking to two of the stars of the League of Gentlemen very shortly for you. But we've got the weather, first of all, and Matt is in the gorgeous